right, we are live. Welcome back. This is the Savage Boston podcast. It is, what day is this? Not Tuesday, as usual. We're recording Thursday, June 4th, 8:45 at night. Yeah, man, it's been glad to have you guys back on here, which is fun. I'm Scott. I'm here with my normal co-host, Brett, and Snooty from SavageBoston.com. New website up and loaded. Go check it out. Got a lot of awesome articles on there. More cool stuff coming. So excited to launch that and have a cool space for people to write and be published and for creators to get their voice out there if they otherwise couldn't. So that's at SavageBoston.com. And I'll be sharing articles pretty consistently on there. So, but yeah, man. So this is a huge week. I was on Foxborough Fellows pod on Monday night after AJ Brown got traded, which again we thought was coming, forever. That's something that has obviously been talked about for many, many months. But I kind of want to start today off like before we talk about AJ Brown and how he looks in practice and all that stuff. Kind of the most current rumor, the thing is like a hot takey is Stefon Diggs and what happens with Stefon Diggs. And so I just want to touch on that first. And before I go in, like what I'm hearing, why don't you guys kick it off? Snooty, you can go first. Tell me kind of like, what's your feelings on Diggs? And, would you want him back?
The talent in and of itself, sure. But he's an alpha, right? Or like that alpha mindset. Like, is he willing to take a lesser role in order to come back and try to accomplish, what they fell short of last year? Because that's kind of why Brown was so upset in Philly, right? Was that he, that he wasn't getting the touches that he liked. He wasn't getting the looks that he liked. And that was with Devonta Smith, who's admittedly a better receiver than Stefon Diggs. But like if Diggs comes back, he's not going to get the same level of production that he did last year. He's just not. So like in and of itself, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Right. But I question how the locker room dynamics would play with that.
Yeah. How do you feel about it, Brett?
Not concerned at all about locker room dynamics. The way I look at it is it's really one of those low risk, high reward type signings. You basically look at it and say, you don't really need him, but obviously you add him to the mix and your team is just that much better. You're that much more dynamic. So bring him in. And as I've said, when it comes to the contracts, like this is the time to maximize because we're obviously not paying top dollar to May. We're not paying top dollar for our left tackle, right? That's rookie Will Campbell. That's coming up. I'd like to see us get on Gonzo. I'll keep beating that drum. I'd like to see that get extended. But you can absorb a contract, which I don't think is going to be crazy for a guy like Diggs. Bring him in, understands Vrabel, understands May, seems like a really great guy in all accounts last year on the team, like good soldier type guy. He just fell off as he got into the playoffs. He comes in here. He's going to have way less coverage on him because now he's got better tools around him, and he becomes another weapon for Drake May. If things go south, he becomes a cancer in the locker room. You cut bait, right? It's not going to be one of those things where you feel like you have to be obligated to work right out with this guy. You can find ways and cut bait. But to me, if he comes in here and he does the same thing that he did last year, it is absolutely a win and something they should pursue. Now, do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. I mean, I'm probably more up to like the 60-40, like 60 yes, 40 no, which is better than it was like 2 weeks ago, just because he hasn't signed anywhere and it's getting like louder and louder to make me feel like there's something there. When there's smoke, there could be a fire.
Yeah. So, what we were talking about before we went live, right? Just talking around with a few people, right? Just so there seems to be a lot of smoke, and a couple pretty reputable, let's say, New England guys are pretty high on the idea of him coming back. Heard the phrase from a few people, if the money's right, Diggs should be back, which again, that's pretty strong. Like should is pretty strong. Again, take this all with a grain of salt. None of this is from, I don't know. This is from guys who, it's smoke. It's fun. It's smoke. It's not someone making a report, right? These are guys talking. So I checked in with a reporter, a New England reporter today about it, who said Diggs, the Patriots weren't in on Diggs back in March or so. They didn't want him back. And that was probably, I assume, in relation to the price tag Diggs had at that point, right? Maybe that was pre-cutting Diggs. I'd have to go back and check the dates, but I think obviously things can change. And, again, that the reporter I checked in with admitted, sometimes things can change. So yeah, nothing definitive, but definitely talking around there's a couple guys that really believe this is something that can happen. So, just pivoting to, I think, the money about it. Why don't you go, Snooty? What do you think is a fair contract or comp, let's say, for someone like Stefon Diggs right now in like a third receiver role?
Yeah, I mean, so it won't be what he was making before. I'd say you're looking somewhere at least in the 8 to 10 million range. With likely incentives to, boost it from there. Because look, if he signs, he plays, and he puts up the numbers, then, hats off to him. He deserves the money, right? But it won't be what he was making last year. I'm not even overly concerned with the cash. They have the money, they have the cap space, they can make this happen. It's a question of are they willing to go the distance to make it happen?
Yeah. No, fair. What do you think's a fair contract, Brett?
It's going to be in that range, so 10 to 12. I wouldn't pay much more than 12, but to Snooty's point, it's not my money, so I don't really care. It's not a cap issue, it's a straight cash issue. Because this is going to be a short-term deal. There's going to be a lot of different ways to manipulate it, so that's not the issue. I think, again, the biggest thing that I look at is, what does this do in relations to what you're going to do with Gonzo? I mean, they restructured on Wenu, which made a lot of people believe that, okay, well, maybe this has indications that we're going to do something towards Gonzo. And so far, nothing's come to fruition. And we're coming up on mandatory camps. Gonzo wants a contract, so it's in all likelihood he'll be the guy that's showing up at mandatory camp in gym shorts and just sitting on the sideline. So to me, cash is not an issue. Salary shouldn't be an issue when it comes to Diggs. If you want the guy, you go get him. It's nothing crazy. It's really about how does that position you for Gonzo, and what are you really going to do there? Because that guy's long term, and that guy's in a premium position that you got to figure it out. So we've done a lot of moves this offseason. We keep making I think a lot of the right moves, but the one move that we just have held over that I want to get settled is that Gonzo contract.
Yeah, I think with Gonzo though, they mentioned it today on Pat McAfee's show where they had Rap Sheet on, Ian Rappaport, and said basically Rappaport says he thinks the contract gets done. He's like, basically, don't worry about it kind of vibes, very light, I wouldn't worry about it. Also says he doesn't think it's getting done in the next day or two. So, which tells you again, there's stuff to wait for with Gonzo. Is this a deal where, again, are we waiting for Witherspoon first? Right? Because again, they work for the same agency. So the same agency works for them, I should say. So are we waiting on Witherspoon? Are we waiting to check his deal? Is he getting top of the market? Are we having Christian Gonzalez set the market? Did Gonzo come in and say, I want 35 million a year versus what he really should get, which is maybe 31? So I think there's a lot of question marks with Gonzo. Just in terms to touch back on in terms of the actual football fit with Stefon Diggs, if you bring him back, I heard people trying to talk themselves into this being a bad thing in some way. People were talking themselves into it, right? They're someone had a comment, Tay had a comment. I feel like Witherspoon is waiting on Gonzo also. Yeah, they have the same agency. So they're kind of, I'm presuming, playing off each other. I agree, but yeah, sorry to flex back to Diggs. So, I don't see on the football reason, if you go on the football field, what negative reason could there be on the football field for having Stefon Diggs? Is there a football reason you wouldn't want that player back? You guys answer me that.
The only thing is if it upsets the the order of the room type of thing. In other words, like, are there enough touches to go around? That's the only concern I would have, because he can play inside, he can play outside. I think Brown's going to play a little bit more in the slot than people anticipate going into this year, because I think they're going to move him around. I think the fact that they have receivers who can play, if Diggs were to resign, the fact that they could have multiple receivers who could play outside and win outside and still move around the formation, play in the slot, things like that would be just tremendous. Like the stuff that Josh McDaniels could do would be amazing.
Yeah.
Long story short, there is no negative on-field advantage or on-field issue with Diggs resigning. I mean,
Yeah.
there's risk of chemistry, but other than that,
well,
no.
Good comment here from Trey Mitty, who says, "Gotta let the young boys eat." So, I understand that. Like, I get where that comment's coming from, right? Like, I feel like that's in direct relation to Kyle Williams, right? And by signing Diggs, are you stifling Kyle Williams? And it's kind of like, I don't know, man. If you're in a 2 to 3 year window, right? Like, if this is the window and you think we want to go to the Super Bowl again, like we want to win one, how can you pass up bringing in Diggs on like a short money veteran deal just so you can be like, we want to try Kyle Williams in the slot? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't like. How do you guys tell me, Brad? How do you feel about that?
Well, so that's just it to me. The only downside would be you're basically saying that our recent investment in drafting Kyle Williams, we are taking away reps, taking away opportunities for him to develop. So that'd be the only downside. But to me personally, Kyle, if you want it, go get it. I mean, Diggs is an aging wide receiver that you should be able to beat out. So to me, I look at it and say there really is no downside on the on-field play. If it's because it's going to slow down Kyle Williams' reps, well, that's a Kyle Williams problem. And if he's struggling to beat out Diggs, who's 32 years old and can't come on the field, he can't outbeat that guy. Well, that's on you, dude. I mean, you got to earn it. This is a dog-eat-dog world when it comes to the NFL. Guys get pushed around all the time. Like, you could talk about it across the board. People talking about Lomu and can Lomu compete for a job and actually get some reps this season? We'll see. But like, that's what you want to do. You want guys chomping at the bit behind you to come into play. So I look at it and say, there's really no loss here other than, is Kraft willing to spend the money, which I don't care what Kraft spends for money. It's not my money.
To me, it's not even a beating out Diggs thing. For Williams, it would be beating out Hollins. Right? So, like, you can play Brown, Williams, and Diggs at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I don't see why – if he can't beat out Hollins for reps, and if he's not – I mean, he's also far and away the fastest receiver on the team, right? Like –
Kyle Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't understand, like, if he can't beat either of those two guys out for reps, like serious reps, then, yeah, I mean – he's not the player that we thought he was, at least not at this point.
Kyle Williams always like ended up in the wrong place last year at times. You know what I mean? He was always like no one doubts his ability, but he was always just in the wrong place somehow. And like, even in OTAs this year, you hear of it's so sporadic, right? You hear of a day where Drake threw it to Kyle, he bobbles it, and it's like an interception, like pick six. And then a few plays later, Kyle Williams caught a 60-yard touchdown. So you're like, is that what you're getting? Feast or famine, inconsistency. People are mentioning Dobbs in the chat. I guess we forgot about Dobbs. Like, we're not forgetting about Dobbs. I think, to me, if you had, just to mention Dobbs because people are talking about him, I'll show this guy says Joe Nolan says we're forgetting about Dobbs. Not forgetting about Dobbs. So I think if you had a top three, right, if you're playing your top three of, obviously, AJ Brown at, let's say, X, Romeo Dobbs at Z, and then you bring in Stefon Diggs to mostly play the slot. How good would Stefon Diggs be in the slot? I mean, I think that would be a perfect role for him. I mean, he was going there for a lot of time anyway this past year, but like, he's so instinctive. He can read zones. He can sit where he needs to sit. Like, he's so good at it. He's such a good route runner. Like, I feel like just a perfect fit to be a guy to play the slot. And like, to me, that's elite. Like that's probably the best. If you brought Diggs back, you probably have the best wide receiver core in football, other than maybe just, I don't know, the Bengals with Chase and Higgins, them too. You know what I mean? But like, I think that to me is just such a phenomenal group. And then throw in like Matt Collins as like a fourth big body or Kyle Williams, right? So I would love that. I would love that group. So again, I think if you're going for a Super Bowl, you're not going to not sign. You know what I mean? You're not going to not sign Stefon Diggs just because you want to like develop Kyle Williams. Like this, it feels like to me they've decided we're going for a Super Bowl now. Like this is my opinion. Like they're like, we're going agent. We have a 2 to 3 year window with Drake. We're going. Yeah. Aiden Figueroa in here said rip Booty. Yeah, I'm sorry. Booty's getting traded. I'm sorry. He's gone. If you want to come in and talk about Booty, you're welcome to. Love what you did. Appreciate you, Booty. You're going to get traded for a day 3 pick probably. And if that doesn't work, it might just be like a pick swap. Ian Steele in here saying move Hollins to tight end as an option. I mean, I'm not going to put anything past Josh, but I think I like Hollins anywhere pretty much. I just like Mac Hollins personally. I think he extremely overachieved for you. I think he's a great player, blocks super well. I love what he brings. Everyone in the locker room loves him. Great energy. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about Mac Hollins. He was so much of a better signing than I thought he would be. I'm just a huge fan of that. So, anyway, I touched on a lot there. Yeah, go for it, Brett.
Just to chime in, I would just say when you look at the wide receiver room, it's clear cut what we're looking at, right? You got Brown at the 1, you got Dobbs at the 2. After that, it's really packages. Like, what are you looking at for your package? And so, depending on what Josh is looking at for sending it out, like you're going to have different skills with different wide receivers. I think from a redundancy standpoint, Kyle Williams and Diggs are a little bit redundant in what their overall skill set is, but clearly Diggs is about a route runner with better hands. You know, we're hoping that is what Williams becomes, but he's a faster guy that has a high upside. So those guys kind of share similar roles on the wide receiver set, but like Hollins is a different wide receiver than those guys. And then you throw in like a guy like Chisholm or Pop, who I think that could be interesting to see if they make a cut or make a move, because one of those guys may be on there, may not. I think Chisholm, because the special teams, could make it. So it's going to be interesting when we get into camp and start looking at depth charts. You're right. Booty's gone. Can we move him for some sort of an asset? We'll see. Probably a late rounder is what you're going to get, because his market value I don't think is tremendous. But, you know, we talked about earlier, Barr threw out the idea about like, hey, maybe they trade him to the Giants for Thibodeau and we do some late round swaps, which I would not be opposed to. 2 guys on expiring contracts, both are looking to try and basically perform for themselves. Giants need wide receiver.
Let me ask you, what would the Giants get out of that though? Like I want that to happen, but like, is that helpful?
They get a wide receiver.
But do they
yeah, they get a wide receiver.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I heard people poo-pooing that. Like I'm down for that, obviously, because I want another edge. I want an edge, but like, would the Giants do that? Do they want Booty?
Well, it would be Booty plus it would be fairly more than you think in terms of draft compensation going back with Booty for Thibodeau. Thibodeau's not a bust. He's a productive player.
Yeah.
Top 10 pick, like DN, premium position. Like, he's a substantially better player than Booty. So it's going to take picks with Booty to get Thibodeau.
Yeah,
sure, but I don't
give up a 4. Do you have to send you have to send a higher pick with Booty to get him, like maybe. Which again, I might do, but
I would look at it and say it'd be a 5th, and we have a plethora of those. So like, we're not going to be concerned about that. So to me, I look at it and say, yeah, it's going to take Booty and a late round pick to get a guy like Thibodeau. But the reason why the Giants would do it is they clearly need wide receivers. I mean, they just signed Juju Smith-Schuster and OBJ. I mean, what the hell is that?
Yeah, no, they're hurt. And like Malik Neighbors' knee is like spaghetti, dude. That's his knee's fucked. His knee is way worse than people let on. And, hope for his sake he gets back to where he needs to be, because was a fantastic player. But like, yeah, his knee is Swiss cheese right now. I just want to read this comment from Joe Nolan here. They're taking advantage of Drake's rookie contract, but also investing in Drake for his development, which is another way to look at this deal. He's going to take another leap this year. I agree, man. I feel like all this shit, we're not even talking about Drake. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what's crazy about this. Like we're talking about all the pieces around Drake, but we're not even talking about how good Drake was and how good Drake should be. Do you know what I mean? Like I think Drake should be again like a top 5 MVP candidate without a doubt. And I think with this team, I think they got the weapons to support him. If the stuff we're hearing on Diggs, man, from like a few different people, and like I know a lot of people chatting and smoke today, like some of it is if you believe where the sources it's coming from. You know, again, we're hearing smoke from a few different places. It doesn't mean I don't know where it's coming from. It doesn't mean it's coming from the Patriots. I don't know where it's coming from, but there's a lot of smoke today around Diggs. I hope they bring him back. I think it'd be fantastic for Drake. I think this would be one of the most dangerous offenses in football, bar none. Probably the best offense in the AFC, I would say. But everything it's not set in stone. Somebody said here, dude, Malik Neighbors is a top 5 wide receiver. Yeah, Malik Neighbors is awesome, dude. He's awesome. I'm just saying his knee's fucked. Like he's had multiple surgeries. Like his knee is fucked, dude. He's had multiple surgeries. He's not going to be back for a while. Like he's not doing well so far. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like with Micah Parsons. He's not going to be back till like October, like way longer than they thought. So some of these injuries, people aren't healing well versus like Diggs ACL last year. He was way ahead of schedule, right? So do you guys have anything, Brett, Snooty, do you have anything to comment on that stuff?
Yeah, League Neighbors is not top 5, so that's laughable. But I look at it and I say to myself, they're clearly desperate if they're going out and signing Juju and OBJ, who, like, sure, 10 years ago, great signings. That looks amazing. I mean, OBJ was on the Giants 10 years ago, but, like, those guys are so washed up. They would love to get a guy like Booty in the room, and they're clearly in a rebuild setup. So, like, he's still a young guy who could be a good 2 or 3 option on the roster, and you're getting him on a contract year. So, and you're getting rid of a guy like Thibodeau on an expiring contract who they don't seem to be in on. I mean, yeah, he was a high draft pick, but he's had up and down years. I think he's one of those guys that it's not like he's established himself. So he'd be the chase on replacement.
I feel like we're drastically overrating Kayshon Boutte. And I feel like this fan base has done this for like 3 fucking years now. Where like, look, he's fine. He's okay. He's not great. He's okay. He's not even that good. He's okay. Like it's gonna cost a lot more than just him and like a 6th round pick for fucking Thibodeau. He's like they've tried to shop him for like 2 years and no one's taken him. Right? And there's plenty of teams that need receiver help. The Chiefs.
Are you talking about Booty?
Yeah, Chiefs need receiver help, right?
I don't know why no one's taking. Do people truly like not believe? There's some guy in our chat going off on Nate. We got like a Malik Neighbors fan in the chat. There's nothing wrong with Neighbors, dude. He's injured. Anyway, sorry to get off track. Snooty, go for it.
I just feel like we're like all last year. This fan base overrated Booty. Going into last year, they overrated Booty. And we're kind of doing it again. We're like, oh, well, what can we get for Booty? It's like, dude, they've shopped him for 2 years and no one's taken him. Like, if you tell me that if someone was willing to give up like even a 4th or 5th round pick right now for Booty going at any point in this offseason, like they wouldn't have done that. Like, so no one's really interested in him. So like you're best going to get a late round pick swap. You're talking 5th, 6th rounds, pick swap, that type of thing. That's what it's going to be. It's not going to be
Patriots fans value Booty so highly, and again, like everyone, I kept reporting last year. Shit, people were saying about like, oh, Booty's probably available, and everyone always got so mad. They're like, you hate Booty, you hate Booty. I don't hate Booty. There's nothing wrong with. He did well for us. He's not going to be here next year. He's at the end of his contract, and they now have 2 guys that like play his position that are better than him. So he's just not, he's done here. And like, eventually he's going to be traded or probably cut. Now, I don't know. I know everyone wants to say like, yo, hold on to him. They don't. When is he going to get time on the field? First of all, he wants to be traded. Schefter said that the other day. Schefter literally in his own podcast said Boutte is open to a trade. That means Kayshon Boutte wants to be traded. He doesn't want to play here. Do you know what I mean? Like he doesn't want to play here because he won't have an opportunity. He's staring down fucking AJ Brown and Romeo Dobbs every day. Do you know what I mean? Like we're talking about, these guys are better players. Dude, he gets to watch fucking AJ Brown. He's got the best seat in the house, dude. So all I'm saying is like, I don't know why no one's biting on Boutte. No one can give you a 5th rounder. Like, is that it? Like no one's willing to give up a 5th for Boutte. You know what I mean?
No, for 2 years that's been the case.
It's ridiculous.
He's not going to get much. It is what it is. He's a fine player. I think part of it is like they finally drafted someone who can actually play a little bit. And so it's like we want to hold on to him because, you know, we haven't had that in 2 fucking decades. But like, it is what it is. You got a better receiver in AJ Brown. You got a better receiver in Dobbs. Like, you know, like it's just give up on it. It's okay.
Yeah, it is what it is. Good comment here again. Joe Nolan says, "What do you guys got for AJ Brown's stat line?" Brett, what do you got for AJ Brown's stat line this year?
I would say best case scenario, he hits that 1,200 mark with 8 touchdowns. I would guess he's probably going to be closer to around 1,000 with like,
oh, really?
Yeah, I think he'll probably get like 8 touchdowns. Yeah, I think Drake's still going to spread it. And I think they're going to intentionally move it around and go forward with it. And Brown could get some double coverage, which is going to open some other guys up. So, yeah, I mean, I'll be okay with that too, because ultimately, look, I'm not looking for the guy to light it up on fire. I just need that guy to help us make our offense dynamic and score so we can be, like you talked about, one of the top 5 offenses in the league. Can we be the best offense in the AFC type of a guy? We don't need him to be all world to be able to do that. We got a lot of other weapons, a lot of other options, especially if you're bringing a guy like Diggs. And we haven't really talked about it too much, but like Vrabel wants to run the rock. So we're going to run the ball. Yeah. It's not like we're going to go out there and throw the ball 30, 40 times a game. Like we're going to run it, and Drake's going to be somewhat in that like 25 to 33-ish passes per game. I don't see them airing it out for him to get a ton of targets that's going to result in these crazy yardage. So best case scenario, 12 with like 9 touchdowns. I think he'll probably be closer to like 1,000 with 8.
Yeah. I think it's funny. I think people are so not used to watching high-level wide receivers anymore. You know, and this has been the reality for New England for, I don't know, since 2019 maybe, since you had like the AJ Brown game with like Josh Gordon or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, when's the last time you had healthy high-level wide receivers? Like Edelman was so banged up in 2020, and then it's just been like a dead zone for like elite wide receivers. And so, you know, AJ Brown, I don't think people realize that we're talking about a different animal here. Like this is a different kind of guy. And they're even saying at OTAs with him like jogging through stuff. Like not only does he just still have that burst and release off the line, but like he's so fucking smooth with everything, and he's massive. Like this is a first ballot Hall of Famer we're talking about. And he's 28. He'll be 29, you know, soon, but he's not 34. You know, like will he have the impact Randy Moss had when he came here? That's pretty intense. Like that's an intense statement to say. I don't quite think anything prepared the world for Tom Brady and Randy Moss in 2007 and what that looked like and how perfect that is. But could I see AJ Brown getting 1,300 yards and 10 TDs? Yeah, I could see that. I think that would be pretty excellent. He just needs to stay healthy, as we talked about, right? But like that to me would be an absolute banger year. So what do you think, Snooty?
I think he's going for 1,250 and 11 touchdowns.
I mean, that's a pretty sick year. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a great year for him. here.
I think he's going to help solve some of the red zone problems that they had before. I also think they're going to try to run the ball more. They probably will run the ball a little bit more effectively than they did last year, but losing Hill, the tight end, is a big problem with that. They also don't have much in the way of tight end depth. You're relying on either an second-year guy or an undrafted rookie free agent, in addition to a rookie tight end, and Hunter Henry at 33 or however old he is. So I think that's going to kind of force their hand a little bit. And there's also the potential with a tougher schedule, they may be forced to air it out a little bit more. So I think 1250 and 11 touchdowns I think that's where he's going to go.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be an absolute hell of a year. So did you guys watch any like behind the scenes stuff or anything like that the Patriots put out on AJ Brown like the other day?
Yeah, snippets of it. I mean, the guy's in heaven, right? It's one of those things where he's
that was a crazy quote,
dude. I mean, could a guy be any happier coming into an organization? He dreamed about this. Rabel telling the story about how when he got drafted to the Titans, he was like, I wish I got drafted by the Patriots. Like after he just got drafted to the Titans to coach Rabel at the time when he was on the Titans. Like this guy loves being here, which is going to be awesome. And I think just on a tangent, that's the part I look at. All the haters on the trade, and they're trying to grasp at straws, basically calling the guy a diva and someone that shot himself out of town when he was over in Philly, which I get. The Philly media is kind of beating up on him, which I don't blame them. But I also look at and say, like, what makes you think that's going to happen here? He's coming to an organization, a team that he's dreamed about coming since he was a kid. He's playing with a coach who he's loved since he was drafted as the Titans and always wanted to come back to and be with on that team. He's going to the best deep ball wide receiver quarterback in the league in Drake May, and reports are he didn't like the way he was being utilized at Philly, not because of targets, but because he was being asked to run slots and schemes that he didn't like, because Jalen Hurts couldn't make it work for that. So he's putting himself in an amazing situation on a Super Bowl contending team, just like he was in Philly. And Kraft's a great owner who's going to help take care of his players. So I see no signs whatsoever that A.J. Brown's going to be a drama in this locker room. And I think anyone that reports otherwise is just grasping at straws, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not concerned with him from like an effort standpoint. I've said that from day one because I think he has too much respect for Vrabel in order for that to be a thing. And also, like, generally speaking, he wanted to be here. He's wanted to be here for so long, like you said. And like, you're only looking for 2 or 3 years, right? Like, ideally 3 years, healthy years is what you want to make it worthwhile to give up the first round pick. So I feel like that's not overly difficult. It shouldn't be overly difficult to survive and not be an asshole for 3 years, at least for 2.
I mean, I think like this is his like last stop of like super high level football, presumably for his career. If we're talking about ages 29, 30, 31, you can play at a high level, and especially for him, takes great care of his body, in shape, big dude. Doesn't have to. This is what I like about it. Like, he doesn't have to be the fastest guy in the room. He can be a technician, a big dude. Like, he could be like, I don't know, like Anquan Bolden. Is it okay comp, not as good? Or like Larry Fitzgerald-ish. But, Larry Fitzgerald turned into like a big slot at the end of his career, not just like a burner, right? Like, these guys change how they play a little bit and are still really great. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald's, again, first ballot Hall of Famer, amazing wide receiver. Like, these guys who are this skilled, they can change how they work at what they do, and they can make it happen. I mean, these dudes are legends for a reason. I think AJ, I mean, listen, there was a story by, I think it's Craig Carton in Philly is his name. There's a story that the real falling out reason was because he was like with some other girls and his girlfriend found out and told Jalen Hurts' girlfriend. And then it was created like personal drama. And so that's why ultimately it led to a falling out. So like, it was literally just a personal issue, not even football related, but basically a personal issue. Because, I mean, he wasn't even that happy when he won the Super Bowl, man, and he was an absolute freak. So, and I think, again, I think AJ, I'm just stoked, dude. Like, I just think the Patriots have so much more juice. Do you know what I mean? Like, we talk about being back and having juice, man. Like, how much more juice does this training camp have? Imagine you bring in Diggs. Imagine the juice in that room if you have AJ Brown and Diggs from Drake May. Training camp's gonna sell out, dude. It's gonna be crazy. So
you just got to look at it and think to yourselves, like, just take a step back from where we were 2 years ago and where we are now. It's just insane. I mean, clearly last year exceeded everyone's expectations. Couldn't imagine it happen. We get to the Super Bowl and we can go down that rabbit hole again. Clearly our offense just showed how inept they were in the biggest spot. We've continuously focused on developing and drafting in that position and finding guys to be able to go through. And in the matter of a year and a half, like, we've totally reshaped the offense to the point that we're now saying, like, hey, we could be top 5 in the league on offense potentially this year, which is not a crazy take, and no one would laugh in your face about it. Obviously, this is largely due to the development of Drake May and how he's far exceeded expectations this early in his career. But, like, all the pieces and how we've put around it has just been such a game changer that, yeah, you're right. I mean, the vibes are insanely high, as they should be. And you look at it and say, like, we have a legitimate chance to make another run. I mean, I've been saying forever, I think they're still top 4 in the AFC, in my opinion. And I think that puts them in contention, and A.J. Brown's going to help them out with that.
I mean, I'm not really sold on any one team in the AFC. Right, like, clearly in the NFC, there's a few teams that are very dominant, but in the AFC, they all have flaws, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm personally not a big believer in Denver this year. I just feel like they're going to regress, but I don't know. I mean,
I think Denver's pretty good, to be honest. Like, in my opinion,
I agree.
That's my take. I'm sticking with it.
That's fine. I'm down on Kansas City. That's
Kansas City. Cincinnati's got a ton of questions. Buffalo is Buffalo, right? The Chargers I can't take seriously until then. The Ravens have a new coach. Who knows? Because the NFL coaching matters. And then who else? Jaguars, never been a whatever. Who gives a fuck about the Jaguars?
I think the team that's going to be the biggest scare is going to be the Chargers, because I think McDaniels is a legit X factor there and is going to help Herbert figure things out. So that team scares me.
They don't scare me yet, because until you see Herbert figure it out in the postseason, like, he's truly been horrific in the postseason. So it's hard, you know what I mean? Like, it's really bad. So I think the AFC is kind of flawed. Like, there's some really good teams, but everyone's got their own flaws. Like, so the comment I pulled up by Deshaun W says people just assume the Ravens, Chiefs, etc. will be good just off name value, and I agree. I don't know. Dude, the Chiefs just lost John Harbaugh. The Ravens lost John Harbaugh. Is that supposed to count for nothing? Like, their Hall of Fame long-term coach goes and, like, they're like, oh, wow, breath of fresh air. Like, I don't know how that team's going to be. I don't know how Lamar's going to be. Will Lamar decline? I don't know. Like, is he going to return to MVP levels? For some reason, I doubt it. But I don't know. You know, like, the Chiefs, again, like, I don't love the Chiefs roster. To me, I don't think they did enough to change with, like, their best wide receivers in prison. Literally rehabbing in prison. Like, I don't, like, that dude's an absolute clown who's not going to get, like, a mat. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with that player. So I don't necessarily trust the Chiefs either. Like, I think there's a lot of flawed teams. The Broncos, to me, are one of the least flawed teams, except at the most important position of quarterback, which they're limited by Bo Nix. So, again, someone brings up the Texans in the chat. Dude, the Texans have C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud's been atrocious for a while. So the only team I'm seeing right now on paper that I think are elite league-wise right now are, like, the Rams and the Seahawks. And I think those teams are sick. Sick. I think the Rams are going to be sick, dude. Like, just depressingly good. And I think them getting Myles Garrett, like, I love how they operate. And Snooty, you could probably weigh in on this. I said this Monday. I think obviously a lot of teams overvalue first round picks, and the Rams are the opposite. They know, they're like, give away your picks, get talent now. That's how they operate. Snooty, tell me, what do you think about the Rams' philosophy of trading their first rounders?
So you can trade away picks anywhere as long as you hit on the picks that you have. And they've hit on multiple mid-round picks for a decade plus at this point, right? Like, so of course, when you have, first of all, you also have an older quarterback who's on his last, year or two, maybe 2 years. I mean, he flirted with retirement this year, and he's got a
bad back.
Yeah. So, like, sure, it makes perfect sense for them this year to go all in, and that's the Myles Garrett trade, etc. Fine. But in general, like, I mean, the Seahawks did it when they went on their run. Like, the Patriots used to do it. They used to hit on all those mid-round picks and found players that can actually play. The 49ers did it when they started going through all their teams. Like, they hit on third, fourth, fifth-round picks, guys that became legitimate starters and players and contributors in the mid-round every time. So, sure, trade your first-round pick for established talent, but you better hit on the other picks, in the mid-round. So that's how you can have cheap labor, cheaper players to offset the expensive players you're importing, but then also you have depth. You have very real depth, and you're building something. You're building a system. You have people. You sign. It's like Belichick used to say this. Like, there's guys that you pay, and there's guys that you replace, right? Like, there's guys that the core. You have to identify the actual core, irreplaceable players. You pay them. You let everyone else. You draft to replace everybody else. That's how it's supposed to work. That's why they're so good and have been for so long. Puka Nacua was like a fifth-round pick. Right.
Well, they've hit on everything, but they're also finding that whole classic finding deficiencies, like you zig, they zag. Everyone's like, oh, we got to get first rounders, load up. Like the Eagles are like coveting this 2028 first rounder for AJ. Meanwhile, the Rams are like, I don't give a fuck about first round picks. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're like, I want, let's get Myles Garrett and the best player, basically like the best player in football. And they fucking got him. And it's like, good for the Rams. I think they're just going to be gross. I think they want another Super Bowl, and it wouldn't surprise me if they got it. It's just like Matthew Stafford's back to see how that holds up. I think Seattle's going to be disgusting again, too. I really like their coach. He reminds me of a young Belichick. He just, how he does his defense and envisions shit. Like, their team was so fucking good last year. Again, people aren't talking about how good they were enough. The Seahawks. And the Patriots got dealt. They got smoked in the Super Bowl. I get it. They weren't matched up. The Patriots weren't even healthy. They weren't matched up. They didn't have the offensive talent, which brings me back to people complaining now about an AJ Brown trade. Like, Felger and Maz, again, hate to just rag on just them, but they go on and on about the value in this trade and why it's bad and all this shit. And all they did and people did was complain, you don't have offensive talent. Last year in the postseason, you couldn't beat people in man. You couldn't get open. You didn't have the horses, and you're getting some horses. And now they want to complain. You got to pay a price, dude. You got to pay for people. It's not free unless you just hit on crazy draft picks. You know what I mean?
I have to defend something.
Well, the good news is everyone. What's that?
Glenn in the chat is saying that the Patriots have never hit on picks. That's the most I'm fucking 12 years old take I've heard in a very long time. They hit on picks for fucking decades. They literally hit on picks all the time. I'm sick of this. Draft. They fucking drafted guys. They hit on picks. That's how they stayed so good. Part of how they stayed so good for so long. They actually did find contributions from players in the mid rounds, and later.
Glenn, I don't know how old you are, but they hit all the time until basically I don't know what feels like 2017 or so. And then they stopped being able to, whether it was scouting or Bill or I don't know, you could go down the reasons, but you can go back, look up 2010 draft, look up 2012 draft. You tell me they didn't hit when they drafted in the same draft, Aaron Hernandez, Gronk, and McCourty. That's not hitting. Do you know what I mean? Or was it 2012 when they got Chandler Jones and Dante Hightower? That's just off the top of my head. Stop me if I'm wrong. Does that not hit to you? You know what I mean? And yeah, eventually it went to shit. Like in 2018, 2017, it stopped being good. But Belichick was a great GM for a while. Like he was an architect for a long time. He ran it really well. It was the only way you can win 6 Super Bowls. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sorry.
Hold on, let me look at this draft now.
Sorry.
Now he's going down a rabbit hole to find the 2012 draft.
Go.
I was just gonna chime in. The good news is, as you were talking about powerhouse teams with Seattle and the Rams, who I don't disagree. The best part is they're in the NFC, and I agree. I think the AFC is wide open.
And it was, by the way, Chandler Jones and Dante Hightower. Is that what I hope that's what I said. It was in 2012. It was Chandler Jones and Dante Hightower.
Yep.
2 first-round picks that they just talk about crushing picks. Those are 2 phenomenal picks.
They moved up for both.
But like that, and then they moved up, which tells you like, oh shit, these were guys that they obviously targeted. You know what I mean? Again, 2010 draft. I'm gonna go to this shit now because now I'm down a rabbit hole. I don't care. 2010 draft, which is again one of their best in their history. Devin McCourty, Rob Gronkowski, and you had like Brandon Spikes, Aaron Hernandez. Like, other than Aaron Hernandez, crazy shit, he was phenomenal. Brandon Spikes was solid. You know, McCourty and Gronk, 2 Patriots Hall of Famers. You know, it is what it is. But like I said, I agree with you guys. It's not something where they hit for a long time, and everyone knows that, and that's how they kept this shit together forever. They had nasty players for a long time. You can't have a dynasty without hitting on picks. Period. We got Bryson in the chat here saying Diggs. Bryson's in on the Diggs chain. Bryson's hearing the smokes. He's in on the Diggs chain. Train. I think we're waiting for something. So anyway, anything else you guys want to go over tonight? I know it's like we're in June, man. I'm just happy we got shit to talk about, and we got some juice considering it's been like this was the expected kind of. Before this, it was pretty dead, so happy we have some juice. But any last thoughts you guys want to get out? Anything you guys want to touch on, Brett, Snooty?
No, I'm just ready to get them all in camp and get them like fully going, right? Like starting to see like how the reps look, get them in, and we haven't spent a lot. I mean, I get it. We've been spending so much time on offense. We haven't talked about the freaking defense, dude. But this defense could still be another team where you look at, like, I feel like people are sleeping on Milton Williams. Like, call me crazy, but I just feel like people look at it and they're like, Gonzo's the only elite talent you have on that defense. I'm like, dude, Milton Williams is one of the best defensive linemen in the league. And that guy was a total game changer for us last year. And people are just like sleeping on our defense.
Yeah, I think it's because obviously all the exciting stuff's happening on offense, but they still need an edge rusher. They need an edge. There's not enough there. I don't know. I still think I tried to dig in a little today, and you know, I don't know what. No one knows what they're up to really. They're pretty tight, but I think, like I said, can you trade for Thibodeau? Can you sign Joey Bosa on a vet contract? Chowder Sports here says, I think we're still thin at linebacker. I agree. What are you going to do, though? You're going to get in Matt Milano? You know, who are you going to bring in at linebacker? Like, I wanted them to draft somebody, but they traded away their 4th-round picks. So, yeah, no, I think the secondary is really, really good. Like, I think the secondary is really good. I think you have 5 dudes that are crazy solid. I love the safety position between Craig Woodson and Byard and, you know, Gonzo and Carlton Davis and Marcus Jones, you know, kind of for the nickel. Like, I think you got some really, really great talent on defense. You just, your front D tackles are good, but you're lacking just a little talent wise. But like, dude, they have room. They could load up. There's contracts to be had. There's things to be done. So I don't think they're done. I think maybe Kraft is giving them the okay to spend the money. And because they went to the Super Bowl, they're like, yeah, just get it as good as you can. I mean, that would be different from the past, but maybe Kraft is letting them spend. I don't know. Sundy, you got anything?
I think specific to off-ball linebacker, I think that's a position where they're going to see what it looks like with the guys they have on the roster, undrafted and otherwise, and then that's a place where they could make a move when it's more closer to cut time. See who's not going to make it. Maybe swing a trade for late round pick swap, something like that. Try to get someone who's going to get cut. That's a spot where they could do that. Yeah.
I mean, they're always trying to improve the roster. They really are. They're always trying to improve the roster, and I actually really like the front office they have right now. I like what they've done. Pretty much every move they've made has been pretty successful to this point. So I don't know what they've done to have you not earn their trust, unless you're just someone who's like an anti-Kraft guy and you think he's not going to spend money. Like, I think they've done a great job. So, all right, we're at the 50-minute mark here. So I'll probably end the stream now. I don't know if anyone has anything else to contribute, but appreciate you guys tuning in. We had a good crowd tonight. This will be up on YouTube, and again, thank you, Bryson, in the chat. And yeah, so check out savageboston.com. Hey, we still need a sponsor for the live stream, and always welcome for people that shoot me in the DMs. We could use a sponsor on here. So appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you next time. See you later.
Peace.